Welcome back to What's on My Needles, and this week I'm actually working with a very special yarn. This one was the Kickstarter reward for a Kickstarter that I supported. So I will link her information down below, but this was hand dyed by the person running the Kickstarter. And I'm going to work off of the same idea that I was last time for the peacock gloves, this time doing a hat. This is wool yarn, which again leads to interesting challenges for me since I don't work in wool very often. And it's actually going to be knit from the center, so from the top of the crown of the head out. And it's going to have the peacock pattern running down to the brim with most likely a knit purl ribbing on the bottom. But we will see when we get there. So I'm going to get this started, or I'm going to get everything ready, I should say, and I will be right back. So here is the yarn, and just like always, I'm working with my itty bitty 6-inch, well, 5-inch double pointed needles. So also, like most of the time when I'm working center out, I'm going to start with a magic loop. So I know magic loop has two different meanings. One is working with a super long circular needle, but working it like you've got two sets of needles going back and forth. This is the way to make amigurumi not have a hole. So it means that I'm starting with a loop of yarn, so my tail is underneath my working yarn. Now normally I do in fact do this with a crochet hook. Today I'm going to just do it with the knitting needle. So I'm going to start over. So I've got my tail underneath my working yarn. It's making a 6 or a 9 depending on how you look at it. I'm going to pinch that. Well, I'm going to make sure it doesn't move. Put my needle in, pick up a loop, yarn over, and pull through. So for people who are used to crochet, it's effectively doing a single crochet. The main difference, of course, is that instead of drawing through 2 loops, I'm only drawing through 1. So that's 4 stitches. I'm actually going to go to an amazingly large number of stitches for me. So I'm going to be going all the way out to 24 stitches. So this is just going to take a while. So I'm going to do one more a little slowly. So got working yarn and my loop. Insert my needle into the loop, pull up my working yarn, yarn over, and then again pull up or pull through the loop that I had made with my working yarn. So I'm going to go ahead and go all the way around the loop, redistributing stitches as I need to. I am going to do this on 5 needles because I am doing an 8-piece hat, and that way I can have an even number of I can have a motif, even number of motifs per needle. So be right back. So I did the first increase round, and I also finished off the center because it kept trying to pull out. So I've now locked that end in place with a couple back stitches around the center. Okay. So I'm on to the second increase round. So knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, and knit 1, and purl. And I'm going to do this all the way around. So for the regular, or for the gloves, so the first iteration of this peacock pattern, I was doing it from the bottom up. This is actually from the top down. So I'm going, instead of having the peacock feathers go the other way, I'm actually doing the peacock feathers in reverse. So this top bit is going to be the diamond of the peacock feather, and then it's going to have the ridges or the chevrons underneath that. But I'm going to use the yarn overs for this topmost diamond as my increases for the pattern, or for the top of the hat. So after this particular set, there won't be any more need to do increases. That also means that I'm taking that little group of stitches right there, so 2, 4, 6 stitches right now, and that's actually going to increase 2 more times out to a total of 10 stitches. So there's actually only going to be 8 feathers around the entire hat. So you get the idea. It's not going to look like much of anything for a while, just because it's itty bitty little center circle that is going to very slowly get bigger. So when this diamond is done, I will come back and show you what is going on after that. So be back in a little bit. So as per usual, I went a lot farther than I was supposed to go before I came back. Sorry about that. So showing you what I've done. So this is the original diamond. Part of why I ended up going farther was because I'm not used to this level of increase ratio. This is actually double the increase ratio that I'm used to. So I was trying to get it so it actually looked normal again before I came back to the camera. As normal, stitch markers to show how many rows I've gone, but I've got the diamond done. I've got 1 chevron, almost done with 2 chevrons. It's going to be at least 3 chevrons, though I think it's going to be 4 before I get to the bottom edge. So I knit 2 together and I pass the slip stitch over. But let me actually get over to that next stitch and really walk that through. But that is the second to last decrease round of each chevron. So yarn over, slip 1, knit 2 together, and pass the slip stitch over, and then yarn over. So yeah, I zoned out and started knitting, and then when I transferred over to the circular needles, it was all sorts of funny shapes because I had enough stitches to go around, but I didn't have enough width across the crown yet to accommodate going the full distance here. So it kind of looked like a messed up scrunchie for a little bit. So I'm back over to that yarn over. So yarn over, slip, then knit 2 together, then pass the slip stitch over, and then yarn over, and keep knitting. So I've got a couple more chevrons to go before it's time for the ribbing at the bottom. I did decide to put in a end of round marker, end of round, start of round marker. This one happens to be from my advent calendar last year that I bought. So this is a plain round, so this is knit across outside of the purl ridges. So I'm just going to keep going for a little bit until it's the length or the depth that I want. And then I will be back for the ribbing in just a minute. So I'm on the last repeat of the pattern going around, and all I'm doing is knit 1, purl 1 for this last, or for this transition row. which makes the last yarn over from the lace pattern a purl stitch. I'm going to continue this along and then bind off in pattern, so binding off with the knit one, purl one, bind off. And then the hat will be all the way done. And here is the finished hat. So I did do a couple inches of ribbing on the bottom, and that's how it's just finished off. And let me just slip it on. So it is a bit more of a slouchy hat than I normally design. Normally I design really, really tight beanies. But it is super stretchy, super comfy. The plan in my head didn't quite work out, but you know what? It works well enough. I'm not sure when I write this pattern up if I'm going to leave it like this or if I'm going to make the adjustments that would have made it easier to work. Most likely it will be exactly this because it does work well enough. It's just, again, not my standard style, and I need to realize that that's okay. I also don't know if it's going to be listed as this yarn, considering that this is an independent dyer. So again, her link will be down below, or at least to her Kickstarter. The Kickstarter is done, and I don't know how much she is still selling the yarn, but it will be down below. And that's it for this week, and I will see you next time on What's on My Needles.